guys, it's your buddy Caden with your Money Minutes, where I interview millionaires and they give us advice on helping families in business. Today, my special guest is Mr. Rick Arvielo. Rick Arvielo is a maverick visionary and the co-founder and CEO of New American Funding. In less than 20 years, Rick has transformed New American Funding from those modest beginnings into one of the top 20 mortgage companies in the U.S. More than 4,500 employees and a serving portfolio of more than 210,000 loans for $55 billion. He has no major mergers. Rick and his wife Patty have managed to retain family-owned business culture that set New American Funding apart from other lenders since day one. Today, I humbly welcome Mr. Rick Arvielo.
Thank you. That's a great introduction. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for joining me as well. So the first question I have for you, Mr. Rick, is when did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and what was your first business?
That's a great question. I actually started working very young. So back when I was a child, you could start working very young. It's not so easy anymore, but I got my first job when I was 12 years old. My motivation really was, we grew up kind of poor, and I knew that if I wanted to have nicer things and to accomplish greater things, it was really on me. I had to do it. So I got exposed to the working world very young. And I think that successfully working and earning money really gave me the confidence to start my own business. So when I was 16 years old, I started my own business, my first company, which was a valet parking business, something that a kid can actually do. And it worked really well. I got an award in my high school for hiring high school students. It was the first time a student ever received an award for hiring students. So that was kind of fun. I ran a couple of parking lots and I made really good money, and I was able to hire friends to work with. I probably only had 5 or 6 employees back then, but that worked out really well. And it kind of set the stage for me, again, to have the confidence to realize that I could do something like that. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest hindrances that young people have, is they don't have the exposure to succeeding in business. And it takes that success to help them build the confidence to think, okay, well, now I can be successful doing something completely different. So I did the valet parking business for a few years, and then I moved to go to college in Long Beach. I grew up in Palm Springs, moved to Long Beach, and I got a job at night to pay my bills, like a lot of kids do when they are in college. And I realized that I really wanted to stay on the entrepreneurial track. So when I was a bartender, I obviously was working for someone else. And I had a couple of really good friends, Ken and Eric. And so we sat down and we decided to start a business. We didn't really have a plan. We just knew that we didn't want to work nights, tending bar and waiting tables. And so it was the time to risk it because we were both in our early 20s. So we started a company called Paradigm Industries. And Paradigm Industries ultimately started designing and selling checks through the mail. Now, that's something that your listeners probably aren't very familiar with, because not many people use checks anymore to pay their bills. They use debit cards and online bill pay and all these other things. But back in my day, we're talking the early 80s, 1980s, the way you paid your bills was with checks. So we started to design checks. So we're more of a creative company. with images on them that you just couldn't get anywhere else. So if you were into motocross, or you were into horses, or you were into if you were a fireman and you wanted fire seeds on your checks, we really were the only game in town. And we built that company up over 13 years and sold it in the mid 90s. And me and my two high school buddies technically retired. We were all 34 years old. And that was the last thing I did prior to starting the mortgage business.
That's great how you were able to turn this into a huge business.
Yep.